Is the world order being rewritten right now because of Donald Trump's tariffs and his blunt, often chaotic response to the wars in Ukraine and Gaza? Let's dive in and analyse all of this. Welcome back to the Tony Tonkin Show. Today we're asking a big question. Has Trump's presidency with his America First tariffs and transactional diplomacy forced the globe to rethink alliances, trade, and even the balance of power? Because whether you love him or hate him, Trump doesn't play by the usual diplomatic rulebook, and the rest of the world is simply scrambling to adjust. First, let's talk tariffs. Trump has slapped tariffs on friends and foes alike, Europe, China, and even Australia. His justification? Protect American jobs, rebuild American industry. But here's the twist. These tariffs don't just hit exporters. They disrupt supply chains, increase consumer costs, and push nations to seek new markets. China is deepening ties with Russia, India, and Africa. Europe is talking more about self-reliance, and Australia, caught between loyalty to the US and the reality of his largest trading partner, China. The question is, by trying to rebuild American dominance, has Trump actually accelerated a multipolar world where no one trusts America's word? Now let's just take a glimpse at Ukraine. Trump's response has been ambiguous at best. He criticises aid, praises deals, and has even suggested Ukraine might need to negotiate with Putin. We know how that's turning out. Compare that to the strong NATO unity under Biden. Trump's approach sends a signal. America under Trump won't always back its allies. That uncertainty forces Europe to consider its own defence structures, maybe even without Washington. And Russia? Well, they see opportunity. So what opportunities does Russia see in all of this? Well, for Moscow, Trump's unpredictability is a gift. Weaken NATO unity. Well, if Trump signals that America won't always foot the bill for Ukraine or even NATO itself, Russia can test Europe's resolve. Divide and conquer is Putin's favourite playbook. So, as the West squabbles, Russia deepens ties with India, China, and even parts of Africa. Cheap oil, arms sales, and where not the West, diplomacy become powerful bargaining chips. If America is busy with tariffs and trade wars, sanctions enforcement against Russia becomes kind of patchy. That lets Moscow funnel exports through third parties. Every moment of Western disunity, whether over Ukraine aid or Gaza policy, is weaponised by Russian state media to say, look right here, the West can't lead anymore. Put simply, Russia sees a chance to step in to the cracks Trump creates. Now, then there's Gaza. Trump has consistently sided with Israel, but his language on the humanitarian crisis, to say the least, is cold, transactional, and often dismissive of international outrage. This response alienates allies in Europe, fractures relationships in the Arab world, and drives nations like Turkey, Qatar, and Iran to fill the diplomatic void. Meanwhile, countries in the global south are openly questioning whether the US has lost credibility as a so-called mediator of peace. So what does all of this mean? Trump's tariffs push nations to diversify trade. His stance on Ukraine undermines NATO cohesion. His Gaza response accelerates distrust in US leadership. Put that together, and you've got a world no longer orbiting around Washington. Instead, what we do see is a China-Russia bloc gaining ground. Europe are now flirting with independence. and so they should. And Middle Eastern powers are starting to assert themselves. This isn't the new world order of the post-Cold War era. It's a fractured, multipolar system born out of Trump's policies and the world's reaction to them. Now let's bring it home and let's I guess start talking about Australia and where we sit in all of this. For decades, we've leaned heavily on the US alliance, both militarily and strategically. AUKUS, Pine Gap, joint exercises, you name it. But here's the hard question. What if the US, under Trump, can't be trusted to show up when it actually matters? If America withdraws support from Ukraine, what's to say they won't do the same in Asia Pacific? If Trump's tariff hit Australia's exports, can we still assume our great and powerful friend always has our back? And if the US prioritises Israel no matter what in Gaza, do we risk being dragged into conflicts that don't serve our interests? That means Australia must consider options. Strengthen regional ties with Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, and yes, even cautiously with China. Build independent defence capabilities, because relying on a mercurial White House is like relying on the weather. We need to show diplomatic flexibility, being the middle power that talks to everyone, instead of a deputy sheriff tied to the hip of Washington. So what we need to do is think of it like this. Trump wants to make America great again, but he might just be making everyone else greater together, not quite the outcome he actually had in mind. So I'll leave you with this. Is the world order being modified, not by careful strategy or long-term vision, but by Trump's blunt tariffs and unpredictable war strategies? I want you to drop your thoughts in the comments section below, because this conversation isn't just about Trump. It's about how the world adapts when the so-called leader of the free world decides to tear up the rule book. And don't forget, everybody, like, share and subscribe to the Tony Tonkin Show for more of this straight talk analysis. The new world order may not be new, and it may not be orderly, but one thing's for sure, it's changing.